Terrific. Well, hello, everybody. It is Tuesday, April 5th, and we are at our final of our 10-week series of our PUC Career Convos. This is the medical industry careers, and I'm so excited to have y'all here today. Let's jump right in at our 5 o'clock mark. I always start out with some virtual housekeeping. Thanks to our panel. First off, like you were at school or work or wherever you were today. You have families, you have lives. Our panelists do too. And they gave their time today and volunteered to be here today and share their story. So thank you so much, panel. Participants, we want your questions. We put this together for you. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat. And when we get to our Q&A, I'll make sure to pull from that question pool. And at the end, we have a really short post-meeting feedback survey. Please take 2-3 minutes and complete that short survey. Really appreciate your time and value every single piece of feedback that you have for us. So with that being said, why the heck do we put these things together? It's after school, after work. Why are we all here today? We want to make sure, as you guys plan your future careers and your future goals for yourself, we want to hear it straight from the experts, not from someone that has to look it up, but people that are actually living it, doing it, breathing it. So we have an amazing panel today that can share their expertise in the field. We want to make sure you walk away knowing the specific required training that you'll need to achieve these occupations to reach that goal, and then learn the career realities on top of how do you become a competitive applicant with so many people vying for these jobs. What can you do now, or what do you need to know so that you'd stand up amongst the competition? So with that being said, we're going to just start with introductions. My name's Nicole. I'm going to facilitate this conversation. I'm the Director of School and College Counseling. We've got some people online who are our clinical counselors, our social work counselors, interns. So thank you all for being here. If by chance you need anyone to speak with regards to mental health or support, if you message me, I will connect you with one of the clinical counselors. So you have the opportunity for individualized support. So just know it's one message chat box away. Just put it out to me and I'll connect you. We have our amazing expert panel. We have Dr. Daphne Ahut. I said that correctly?
Daphne Ahut.
Ahut, thank you. Ahut, she's a pediatrician at Roy Medical Group. Miss Joyce Aben, I got that one, Joyce? Yeah, okay. Radiologic technician and a radiology instructor at UCLA and for LA City College. Thank you for being here. And Mrs. Anna Reyes, aesthetic registered nurse at Laserway. Thank you all for being here. Really appreciate you. And I think what everybody wants to hear more than my speaking is hearing from you. But one of the reasons I love this question so much and why I bring it to start off every webinar, every career conversation is we've got students out there, and some think that they need to know what they're going to be for the rest of their life before they graduate high school. Some people think that they have to know exactly what they're going to be before they apply to college. It's helpful, but I'd love for you to kick off, and we'll start with Dr. Ahut. If you would please just kind of talk about maybe what you wanted to be when you were in high school and how you got to where you are today. Please.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, so it's actually an interesting story for me. I always loved fashion design, and I designed some clothing when I was younger. And I come from a Persian family, and my parents are all super academic and about us making sure we're getting good grades. So when I told my dad that I wanted to be a fashion designer, he said, okay, Daphne, maybe, yeah, that's great, but that might not bring you a kind of lifestyle and living and maybe financial stability that you might want. So maybe look into other things you like and look into medicine, because he knew I liked science. So I went ahead and volunteered at a hospital near my high school. And I had an interesting interaction with a patient that had Alzheimer's disease. And he remembered me one day, and the next day when I went to take care of him, he completely just didn't know who I was. He didn't recognize me. So I thought that was fascinating. And so I went into college and studied neuroscience and just kind of progressed from that. But my love was for the arts, for performing, for music, and those have become my hobbies now. But my passion has always been taking care of people. And I didn't really know that I was going to take care of kids. I knew that I loved being around kids. For the longest time, I thought I was going to be a psychiatrist, etc., or a surgeon. But when I went to med school and experienced the different rotations, that's when I honed in So I didn't really always know that that's what I was going to be, but I had a closer idea of what I wanted to do when I was in med school finally.
Thank you. So it sounds like some parent influence to look at the sciences, and then also the volunteer experience on top of med school.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Joyce, how about you?
Hi. So my story is pretty interesting. Also, so I wasn't born here. I was born in Ghana, and my dad brought my mom and I out here when I was like 10 years old. My dad is a cath lab technologist also, and he's been doing it for like 30, 35 years. And I vividly remember, I think I was 10 or 11, I was asking my dad for money. And he was like, he said, you need to get a job at 11 years old. And I remember being very upset. I didn't understand. I'm like, Dad, you have to give me money. So I told my mom, I said, Mom, you know what? I want the job that my dad does. And, thankfully my dad knew a couple of people at the hospital, and they allowed me to dress up in, sterile, basically clothing or gown. And I went to cath lab with my dad. Of course, I didn't know what he was doing, but the machines, the C-arm that they were using, the fluoroscopy machine, I was so intrigued by that machine. I said, this is what I wanted. So at 11 years old, I decided that this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to do something with radiology, but I didn't know the path. So I volunteered. As time went by, I went through high school. I volunteered at Kaiser Permanente because I wanted to know what I was getting myself into and be sure, is this really what I wanted? So I volunteered it for 4 years, and I enjoyed volunteering so much. I met so many doctors, so many technologists, and I finally decided at 18, like, this is it for me. I enjoy being around patients. I love helping them out. So I immediately started doing my prereqs for the radiology program. I got in. I graduated from the program. I started working, I believe, like in less than a year. I went and got my bachelor's in medical imaging, and I ended up getting my master's in medical informatics for imaging. So since then, I've just been working and going to school and just enjoying it because I took the time to realize what I wanted early. And I think that's one of the biggest mistake that young people like us, I still consider myself young, that we make, is that we don't take the time to investigate or do the research. Is this going to work for us? So for me, it's a perfect career for me, and I'm glad that my dad introduced me to it in a very mean way, I should say, but it did me good. So that's just how my career matches my life, I guess.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. And Anna, Ms. Reyes.
Hi, thank you very much for having me here today. And to piggyback off that, it's very interesting. I always thought about becoming a nurse, but I never did any research. I had a few family members that were in the medical field, but I really didn't ask questions. So when I graduated high school, I went straight. I regret it, but I got into sales. And when you're young, making money, you put school on the back burner. And I would always keep going. I would go from one job to another sales position, which I loved. And I would keep putting nursing in the back burner. And it wasn't until I had my daughter that I had an amazing experience with the nurses that helped me that I said, this is my calling. And it was just instantaneously, I said, I'm going to go back to school. And I went back to school, and I don't regret it. I'm so happy that I did it. But I wish I would have had the guidance or the opportunities, like such as what you're providing now, to investigate more about the nursing field and not be intimidated, learn how to network, use whatever resources are in school, speak to the counselors, because during my time when I was younger, and I'm not going to say my age, we didn't have that much support, and there wasn't the internet. So the internet wasn't around as it is now. So I always tell people that I meet that are young, they're in school, talk to your counselors, network, speak to everyone. If they have a panel, definitely join. Speak to your parents' friends, like if they're in the medical field, something that you're into, because that's going to help you open the doors and you could start preparing. You don't have to know exactly what field, but at least to get like a feedback to see what you might want to do when you graduate high school.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. All right, I've got kids in the background. I hear them coming. So get ready, people, to meet the family. Next question. What is the required training? Some of you touched upon it, but what's the required training and education needed for your field? And we'll just kick this off. Ms. Obeng, if you would start with this one. And you're on mute for right now.
Got it. Okay. So to become a radiology technologist, you can do it through community college, or you can do it through a 4-year college. For me, I wanted to follow my dad's footsteps. So I went to LACC radiology technology program. It's a 2-year program. You have to take, we have general ed. Those are the classes that you need to take for just to graduate out of college. And then you have prerequisites. I believe ours is 10, the classes that you need to take before you can apply into the radiology program. And then when you get into the radiology program, the program is 2 years. So you can, the prereqs plus the program is 3 years total, depending on how fast you're able to complete the prereqs. You should be able to get it done in like 3-4 years plus the program. And the program is very, very intense. I will not lie to you. It requires a lot of work, a lot of studying. You will have 1 year to do your clinicals, where you would train on different machines, different modalities, like CT, MRI, ultrasound sometimes, and do IR cases, cath lab. So the educational part is just the classes. Different college have different classes. That's what you have to be careful with. So that's what you have to focus on also. So depending on what college you're going to, it takes 1 year to 3 years. It's not that much. You can do it. So.
You know what? May I ask you one question just to make sure everybody's totally clear? Can you define radiology?
Absolutely. So in
Please.
when we speak of radiology, most people think it's cancer, but it's not just that. So for my field, we use radiation to visualize the internal structures of patients, and we are also able to use radiopharmaceutical drugs to treat some diseases. So yes, we are using radiation, which can cause cancer, but because we've been trained with safety measures, we're able to use it to help patients.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to make sure. I should have backed up and asked you that out the gate, but we got it. We got it here. And students, if you have any questions with regards to this, keep putting them in the chat. I see some questions coming in throughout the whole presentation. We'll get to them at the Q&A. Thank you very much. Mrs. Reyes, if you would share, Anna.
Absolutely. So not only am I a registered nurse, but I'm an aesthetic research nurse, also known as a cosmetic nurse. And basically, we provide non-invasive treatments such as injectables and skincare treatments. I decided to go the community college route. So I did my prerequisites, and then I applied for the school's ADN program, which is an associate degree in nursing. After I graduated, I researched how to get into the aesthetic fields. And I was very lucky to be hired by LaserAway, which provides in-house training for registered nurses that are trying to get into that field as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And Dr. Daphna Adut, please share your training in education.
Sure. So in order to become a doctor, you finish the 4 years of college, and you do basically pre-medical classes, prerequisites, pre-med prerequisites, which include different kinds of science classes like physics, general chemistry, biology, mathematics, and then you can major in whatever you want, and as long as you complete the prereqs for medical school. And so the college counselors will let you know exactly what you need to take, but I've had many friends that majored in art history and psychology, dance, and still became doctors. So you could still have something fun and enjoyable that you're passionate about, but you could and do the prereqs. So 4 years of college and then 4 years of medical school. The first 2 years of medical school is basically classroom, sitting down, listening to lectures, studying different aspects of medicine. The last 2 years of medical school are clinical rotations, where you actually go into a hospital and see patients. So 4 years of college, 4 years of med school, And then residency can vary between 3 years to 7 years. And that's the doctor in training. So I'm a pediatrician. I'm a general pediatrician. I did not specialize. So that means that I did 3 years of residency. I did my residency at LA County Hospital, General Hospital in downtown County Hospital, 3 years. And then I started practicing after that. But if you want to be a specialist, a pediatric specialist, like taking care of the heart or taking care of the GI system, that's another 3 years on top of that. So it can vary, but so the minimum is 4 + 4 + 3. You do the math, 11 years of training. It sounds like a lot, but if you have a goal and you're a hard worker, and all it takes really is grit. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to become a doctor. You need to be smart and you need to have some grit. It's just hard work and you can do it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And yeah, I'm hoping that you have to do a lot of school since you guys are like taking care of our bodies and making sure we're healthy and finding things when we're sick. So that's why also. Thank you so much. This one, we're going to kick off a reality check. So many times students will share with counselors or teachers or just staff, like, I want to be this because I saw it in a movie, or I heard that if I'm this, I'll make good money and that I can do all of these things. We want to know the reality check. How challenging is it for someone new to the field to find a job? And then can you describe a typical day for like what you do in the field? And then maybe a typical day of someone who is brand new to the field, since y'all have some experience under your belt. And we'll kick this off with Mrs. Reyes. Anna, please.
Okay, so one of the things that I encountered when I graduated was everybody wanted experience, especially when you're trying to get into something so specialized as aesthetics. So I started looking, I was speaking to people, and I would go on Indeed and look for jobs, and you'd find 2+ years experience, 3 years experience, must have training in X, Y, and Z before getting hired. And basically, a lot of nurses that transition into aesthetics, they'll take training courses in regards to Botox, filler, which are very expensive, but worth it because it's good training. Even with that, as a new nurse, you still have to have that experience. So I always recommend for a business that is going to offer training to the nurses, check the reviews, see what the feedback is from employees, and always apply. You never know. Somebody might take you under their wing and just guide you. So if they're asking for experience, still apply. The worst they can say is no. And if they do, you just keep trying and keep looking. When you're a new nurse and you get hired, a typical day, you're basically absorbing everything when you're going in. So hopefully you have somebody that's guiding you, teaching you how to do the best assessments, what to recommend to patients. Patient might come in wanting one treatment, but in your assessment, you see that you could offer a different treatment, which is going to be to their benefit as well. A typical day in my location would be going in early in the morning, 9:45, and I review everybody that's coming in for that day, making sure everybody has their consents, what are the treatments that we're going to do. And then especially if I have new clients, I want to make sure that there's that discussion. I'm going to do an assessment. We're going to discuss their goals and realistic expectations, which is I work, which is something that was really valuable for me. I, as much as I respect the hospital field, but I wanted to have that opportunity to work 8 hours and then enjoy time with my family at home. So that's a typical day for me in the office as well.
Thank you so much. I think it's really important what you mentioned. You froze for a little minute.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
You're perfect. You're perfect. I believe the gist of what you were saying is you were talking about the transition of like why you chose to go to Laser Away and work in this field was more of work-family balance. Is that correct?
Yes, one of the things I love for my employers is that they give you the opportunity to have that family balance. I work 8 hours a day, 4 days a week, 1 day on call. We're off on holidays. And there's an enormous amount of support as well, which is really important. So I don't feel like I'm missing out with my family activities, and I have a great work balance, which I'm very appreciative for too.
Thank you so much. And I know students, you may not think of it now, but work-life balance of figuring out what you can do with a family, if you ever choose to have one, is a tremendous part of life and figuring out as we change and grow and our lives change. But thank you so much. Dr. Daphna Adut, if you would please share yours. You're on mute.
Sorry.
No worries.
Okay, so typical day and my life is, yeah, that's one of the reasons I picked pediatrics, is because that it's very conducive to having a family life. We're taking care of kids, so we acknowledge the fact that we need some time to be with our children as well. And I'm currently a single mom, so I'm able to single mom, half-time or part-time pediatrician, full-time mom. So I work 4 half days and then 1 full day. And that gives me the ability to go in the mornings, take care of my patients, see them up until 3 o'clock, pick up my kids and come home. And I'm good. And sometimes I'm on call, and on call means that we don't go to since I'm a general pediatrician, I don't work at a hospital or overnights. So when I say I'm on call, that means I take calls from parents whose kids are sick or they have questions, and they would call our answering service, and I would do that after office hours. Another thing that I do right now in my work life is take care of newborns. So when you guys say I want to take care of babies, that's what I do. And I really enjoy taking care of babies in my office and at the hospital. When a baby's born, we see them in the first 24 hours of their life and when they go home. So I go to the hospital occasionally, just depends when baby's born, and that's a surprise. So that's another part of what I do. As far as jobs right now, there's a lot of pediatric job openings. It doesn't seem like there is a shortage of positions for this specialty. So I do encourage you, if you do want to become a pediatrician, then it's not too out of reach. I don't know what the rest of the questions were, but
I think just in term of if someone wanted to become a pediatrician, I know Anna spoke of them wanting experience. Is it difficult to get the jobs out the gate?
No, it's actually not that hard. A lot of offices aren't really requiring you to have 3 or 4 years in the field as a attending pediatrician. A lot of clinics want you to just graduate from residency, and they already know that you have great training wherever you've got it, and you're ready to work and eager. And I'll be honest, in the first couple of years as a young attending, it was a little bit intimidating because I was working with pediatricians who've been already practicing for 10 plus years. So I would actually still shadow them in my first 2 years of practice. So it was a little odd because you're expected to already know everything from the get-go, what to prescribe, how to diagnose, how to treat. And but I still didn't quite get the gist of how to do that in the community. I knew how to do it in training at a hospital with attendings overwatching me. So I wasn't quite confident in the first 2 years. It really actually took me, I would say I've been a pediatrician for 11 years. It took me probably 7 to 8 years to feel like, okay, that's it. I got it down. I got this. I can actually help medical students and young doctors shadow me and see what it's like, what the flow is like, and what's expected. It just takes a little bit of time to get your feet wet, sometimes a few years.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing that addition. Ms. Joyce Abeng, if you would
Yes,
please share.
Absolutely. So how challenging is it for a person fresh out of college or fresh out of the radiology program to get a job? Actually, because of COVID, it is so easy right now to get a job. It is so easy because we have companies, or they call themselves companies, registry companies, where as soon as you graduate, to gain experience, like a couple of you guys said earlier, they do need people with experience, but through the registry, they're able to place you in hospitals that are short of staff. So through that, you're able to gain all the experience that you need. And they do traveling also. So if you're young and you want to travel and not have to pay for it and earn money, that's a good way to go also. Describe a typical day for somebody in my field, I work graveyard. I have been doing graveyard since I graduated from the rad tech program. So I would go to work. When I go to work, I have to clean the entire machine. Anything that can be touched, I have to clean it because it's just, you just have to do it. I go in, I look at my work list, I see what's pending. I have to read the notes of the orders, like what was the order? Is it really the correct order or the doctor wanted something else? I work 8 hours. I don't do 12 like nurses, but I do 8 hours, 5 days a week. And sometimes I do weekends, but the environment that I work in it's amazing. We make sure that we have fun. That's one of the things that people tend to forget in healthcare is that you gotta have fun. If not, the things that you see would drain you. You would take it home and you'd be miserable. You gotta have fun. And me, I'm a fun person to work with. So while everyone is sleeping, I'm having fun while I'm also taking care of patients. So that's my typical day at work.
Excellent. And can you define, when you say graveyard, what are the hours from when to when? What are your 8 hours?
Yes. So graveyard can start from 10 p.m. till morning. They have what we call swing shifts. Swing shift can start, I probably say from 1 p.m. to 11 p.m. right? And then morning is like 5:30 till 2 or 3 o'clock. But me, I've become nocturnal, so I just stay up and I just enjoy it while everyone's sleeping.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for defining that. Excellent. When it comes to hindsight, I always ask this question because I know, what would you tell yourself career-wise if you could go back and speak to yourself as a ninth grader? Ninth grader. So that's about someone, y'all are like 15, 16 years old, just getting into the high school. At this point, you're just finishing your first year of high school. Dr. Daphne, what would you tell your ninth grade self career-wise?
Okay. So this is a good question because I actually remember my school counselor talking to me when she heard that I wanted to be a doctor. She gave me a lot of encouragement. So that's one thing that I want to give, I would say to my ninth grade self is, or just in like advice to our ninth graders, is that you can do it. It's possible, even though you feel like the road is hard and arduous. You can be a doctor if you really want to be. You know, you don't have to settle for doing things that, and I apologize, hopefully it doesn't, you don't have to settle for less than who you want to be. So you always shoot for the stars. And if you get a little bit below the stars, then you're still good. The other thing I wanted to say when it comes to medicine, you don't always have to be good in sciences. It helps if you can be versed in biology and chemistry and math and all these things. It helps, but you don't have to, be a superstar in these things. If you're struggling with these classes and you want to be a doctor, you can still be a doctor. You might need to get a little bit of help to get through the classes, but it's still doable, because if it's your passion, if it's your, if you feel that that's what you're meant to do as a ninth grader, then you should go with it, with that goal in mind, and don't let anything stop you. And if you need help, ask for help. There's a lot of help in high schools right now, school counselors and programs and clubs and all that stuff. So don't be afraid to ask for help. That's another advice that I wanted to give.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Ms. Joyce Abeng, if you would please share.
Oh my God, it's a lot. It's a lot, but I'll make it short. Coming from another country is very, very intimidating for a 10-year-old. Very, very intimidating, especially the language barrier. It's so hard. And what I would tell myself is, don't be scared, just work hard, just fight through it. Don't be discouraged. It's great that your friends are out there having fun and you are here opening your book, looking crazy while everyone else is having fun. Because in the future, the people that are having fun right now that are not studying are the ones that are really going to see you and kind of be embarrassed to look at you, because you made it, you survived. So continue studying, be passionate about the goals that you want in life. Do not be discouraged because of your language. Do not. because hard work pays off. And stay focused, believe in yourself and stay focused on your goals. It's possible. The American dream, it exists. I'm not the richest person and I'm not rich or anything, but I know that it exists because I'm telling you right now, I am the most content, most happiest person that I know right now because I'm doing what I love, you know, and I wake up every day and there is no question about why am I doing this. So if I have to tell myself, like years ago, a ninth grader, I just tell them, just keep doing what you're doing, keep studying. It pays off. Do not be discouraged. That's what I would tell myself.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And your passion shines through, all three of you. It's clear. It's clear why you said, sure, I'll be happy to come and talk today. Thank you for bringing your energy and passion to the table. And Mrs. Reyes, Ana, please share.
What I would tell my ninth grade self, I would say back to what I said earlier, do your research. Don't think that you can't do it. Focus, talk to your counselor, use whatever is available. And especially now, I'm telling everybody now, you have so much that's available to you at your fingertips. Utilize the internet, utilize for good stuff, utilize YouTube, look up if there's something like fashion, whatever it is, look it up. If there's a university that you're interested in going to, take a field trip over there, have your parents take you there, meet with a counselor there. So that way you could have that exposure and visualize yourself there. So as you're in school and you're like, okay, another year, it's gonna take a long time. No, time flies by. Take advantage, have fun, but also hit the bucks and take advantage of the situation. And if you use your resources, then you can even take classes in high school that will help you and guide you in what you're gonna do tomorrow. So definitely stay focused, have fun, but also stay focused and don't let anybody discourage you and tell you that you can't do it. You definitely can do anything that you put your mind to. If it's about money, there's community colleges. You could always do 2 years of prerequisites. I tell everybody there's no need for you to get into these ridiculous loans for your first 2 years of prerequisites. There are excellent community colleges. After your 2 years, you can go ahead and transfer to a Cal State, to a UC. There's always a path. So that's what I would tell my ninth grade self and to everybody here today. You can absolutely do it. And please, please, please use the resources that you have available right now.
Thank you so much. And please note, students, all of our panelists are either from, I happen to know Miss Ana Reyes and just said, hey, I love what you do. Would you mind coming to speak with students? And she was fine. She's like, I'll put in for that day off 3 months in advance to try and get here. I reached out to Ms. Obeng and to Dr. Adut, and I just said, hey, we got this thing going on with people that are interested in medicine. Would you mind coming? And guess what? They're like, sure, I'm over here. Tell me more about it. So people that like what they do, people that are helpers, the helpers around you, they want to help you. But they didn't call me. They didn't know I was doing this. You have to ask. And as long as you show gratitude and willingness to learn and thankfulness, I think thankfulness is an uber key in life in general to help you get where you want to go. You have people that want to reach you and help you. So I thank you all for your stories. I thank you all for sharing your hindsight. And this is the part of the webinar where we ask questions. And I have some questions in the chat. I also have some questions from the registration. I'm going to just run down them. And if you think of something, put it in the chat now, okay? So I have a question. What is the hardest part of your job? And I'll just go on what I say. Joyce, what's the hardest part of your job as a radiologist technician?
I think the hardest part of my job is I think dealing with death. That is very hard for me. But how I have a therapist. I'm not ashamed of it. I have a therapist that I see just to deal with it, because even though all of us are in healthcare, we still need to take care of our mental health. Okay, for me to be able to help my patients, I have to take care of it. So the hardest part about my job is dealing with death. That's the hardest part for me.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Ms.
I'm sorry, I wasn't sure if you said.
Sorry, you know what? I think I cut myself off with the mute. Ms. Reyes, what's the hardest part about your job as a nurse?
The hardest part of my job as an aesthetic nurse is politely saying no when a patient wants a treatment that is not going to be beneficial to them. Sometimes cosmetics gets a bad rap because some clinicians will still do a treatment that they shouldn't, not where I work, thankfully. But it's something that at the beginning I was scared to, but I built up the confidence, say, look, this is what I can do for you. This is not realistic. And that's something that it's difficult, but sometimes you have to have that conversation with the patient, and they appreciate it. They appreciate it, which is great.
Thank you so much. Dr. Adut?
Yeah, so the hardest part of my job is dealing with patients that I diagnose with cancer. For the majority part, that these patients actually end up doing pretty well. In kids with cancer, they end up surviving. So that's pretty hard. Communicating the diagnosis to the patient, to the parents, letting them know their child has cancer is very hard to do. And the other hard part is dealing with children who have gone through physical abuse or molestation. That's another difficult part of my what I do, because I'm responsible for not only picking it up, but also reporting it. So we're something called mandated reporters. If we think that or have proof or possible high suspicion that the child has been abused, we have to call Department of Child Protective Services and let them know. So those are very difficult things that we go through. But at the end of the day, I still know that that's for the best of the patient. And that's my goal, is to protect innocent kids, because they can't take care of themselves. So.
Wow. Thank you all. That does sound extremely, extremely hard for all three of you. I've got a question for Ms. Reyes. Somebody asked, how can I become a travel nurse? Can you speak to that, or do you know anything?
Yeah, I can actually.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So with travel nursing, after you graduate, I would highly recommend you definitely want to hone in on your skills. Unlike aesthetic nursing, where you could train in clinic, travel nurses are very great nurses, but they're seasoned. So you have a nurse that's been working in either tele, med-surg, ICU, and they've honed their craft, because these are really tough areas to work in. And after a few years where you feel confident, then I would recommend be a travel nurse. Because what happens is, let's say you're in California, you get an assignment, you go to New York. As soon as you go in, they're not going to train you for 3 months so you could get it. You're going in, especially now with COVID, all hands on deck. You're going in right away. So what I recommend, when you're graduating, look for a great hospital, a teaching hospital where you're going to be exposed to everything that you can, get seasoned after a couple of years, and then join a company, a registry where you could become a travel nurse, because that's going to make you a great nurse, and you're going to have that backbone of your experience in the medical field.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Ms. Obeng, what are the biggest differences between the programs of UCLA and LACC?
So
can you speak to that?
Oh, absolutely. So when you say programs, you're talking about the courses, or you're talking about the actual hospital part? Because UCLA doesn't have a radiology technology program. They are affiliated with the 4-year college CSUN. CSUN has a radiology technology program, but you have to go through the entire 4 years to graduate and also be able to rotate through UCLA. Now at LACC, it's a 2-year program, or we have different clinical sites. So if you go to a CSUN, compared to somebody that went to LACC, you get your job a lot faster than somebody who went to CSUN. However, the one who went to CSUN will get a bachelor's degree and you will have an AS degree. Now, do you guys make the same money? Yes, you make the same money. The degree does not matter it doesn't matter in pay rate. It has no effect whatsoever. So yeah, I'm not sure if it was the clinical aspect or you're talking about the academics wise, but radiology has affiliation with CSUN program. That's the only thing that I know of. I think you muted yourself again.
Oh, sorry, I muted myself to speak. Hello, what am I doing? Sorry about that. Thank you for answering that question. I think that they weren't more specific. So if you're listening and you want more specifics, please add to the chat so we can get your exact question answered. Dr. Daphna, Dr. Adut, question is becoming an OB/GYN similar to the process you had to go through for becoming a pediatrician?
Yeah, it's similar. So like I said, it's 4 years of college, 4 years of medical school, and I believe it's 4 years, not 3 years. So it's 4 years for OB/GYN. And then with that, if you want to become a subspecialist, so there is maternal fetal medicine or high risk OB. There's 2 different things you can do, or even more as an OB that I might not be aware of. It's a couple of extra years on top of the 4 years. So it is a similar road, but just 1 extra year than peds, 4 years of residency.
Thank you so much. This is for all panelists. If this is from someone in middle school, what can they do in middle school to help prepare for a career in medicine? Is there anything specific you'd like to share for our middle schoolers out there?
I would say they should volunteer. That is a big part, because if you volunteer in areas that you feel like you will enjoy doing, because when you volunteer, you're able to see the ins and outs of, what is expected of you. So my biggest suggestion is always volunteer. Just volunteer.
Thank you. Anyone want to add to that?
Sure, I can add, yes, volunteering is big. I used to volunteer at hospitals, just transporting patients. The other thing you can do is, if you're interested in becoming doctor, whatever specialty you're curious about, you can reach out to doctors in the community, or if you have any friends or family doctors that you can shadow in the office and see what they do. And if there's anything at all that you're passionate about, see, the thing about medicine is that you don't necessarily have to be passionate about science or patient care. When I say when you get interviews for medical school, they want to see kids that are passionate about other things too in life. So if you're big about music or art or whatever it is, become good at it, put the extra effort into it. If you're a gymnast or if you're a dancer, perform, do things that show that you really, really care about what it is that you like to do, and you took it to that extra level to excel in it. And that kind of gives medical schools and mostly medical schools, that kind of idea of the type of person that you are, that you're not just like interested, but you're passionate about something. And you don't, like I said, you don't need to be doing research papers and all that. That comes later. That could be in college. That would definitely help you if you're in college and you're interested in becoming a surgeon, etc., or whatever it is, whatever type of doctor, anything research-wise. And if you publish, that helps. I don't know about publishing in middle school yet, but in the younger years, that's what I recommend.
And to add to that, I agree. Definitely volunteering is fantastic, especially if you know that you want to work, let's say if you want to work with children, or if you want to work with the geriatric population, volunteer. That's your exposure. So you see exactly how everything is moving in that department. And then you're going to get your name out there. Well, yes, you're younger, you've had that exposure. So by the time that you graduate and you feel you've already kind of like wet your feet to like how everything moves around in the clinic or how it works in certain departments. So definitely volunteer and absorb as much as you can. I think that would be my advice.
Thank you. And I have a follow-up question here, but I'm going to just chime in. Someone says, how can my student volunteer? And I recommend that you get online and look for the hospitals and the volunteer requirements. There may be an age minimum and other requirements that you need to meet to get on there. But I'm always about, even if you wanted to work in medicine, if you volunteered anywhere, to have that exposure of how to follow rules, how to network, how to get work with others well. You need to be able to hone in all these schools that could be applied to medicine. And like Dr. Daphna Adut said, she worked in a hospital in had someone with Alzheimer's know who she was one day and then the next day. And that found her fascinating. Any kind of volunteer opportunity, if it could be in the medical field, amazing. But even if it can't, to get out there and have that experience of working with others outside of your comfort zone is extremely important. What are the rules of the land of where you're going? Following through, having someone that could vouch for you as a good employee or a good volunteer, that you listen to instructions and again, work well with others. Those are all very, very valuable experiences. And you can also reach out to your school and see what volunteer opportunities they can help you find volunteer opportunities. But be honest, get out there and Google hospitals, Google ways to work with kids. And there's a lot of different volunteer sites that you can get on. There's tons of volunteer opportunities for the summer camps this summer. That if you have a YMCA, a Boys and Girls Club of America, depending on your age and what their requirements are, you can find that out. I've got another question. Somebody asked, have you ever wanted to give up and how do you deal with it?
Oh, that's a lot. That's like majority of the time when I first came to this country. It's hard. Nothing good comes easy. Okay, and if the things that we are doing right now, the three of us, the experts on the panel, if it was easy, everyone else will be doing it. But not everyone else, not everyone is in healthcare. Okay, so it's really, really hard. There were days when I was in the radiology program, there were days that I didn't want to wake up because it was so intense. You know, going to the hospital, I have to go to the hospital, do 40 hours, then I have to be back on campus for 4 hours, then I have to go back to sleep. It's a lot. And imagine if you have a family and you have to work, it is a lot of work, but you have to want it badly. To be like, I want this, I'm gonna go for it. If I don't have to sleep for a certain amount of time, you do have to sleep, but it sacrifices, you have to make sacrifices. And when you are young, it's easier because you have no family, you still living with parents, hopefully. Take advantage of that, okay? That's why the three of us, we all agree that volunteering is a good way for you to start, because once you know it and you turn 18, you could probably get all the prereqs done and you could be in rad tech, nursing, or start medical school at the age of 20, whatever, in your 20s. So start early, and it's hard work. I will not sit here and lie to you and say it's easy. It is hard. You can't do it. You just have to put in the work. None of us got here without putting in the work. Okay, so you have to work hard. You have to, and don't give up. When you feel like giving up, take a step back, and then go attack your studying, have fun, and go back to it, and go back to studying. But it's all hard work. Don't give up. It's not an option. Put it that way. It's not an option. Keep that in mind. Giving up is not an option. Taking a break, it is an option.
Thank you so much. Anna, you want to add to that?
Well, I really felt that question because when I went back to become a nurse, I was a mom. My baby was 3 months old. And I cried a lot, and not because I felt like I made the wrong mistake. It's just, like she said, it's very stressful. And I lost a lot of friends because I couldn't go out. I had to focus. This was something that I wanted to do for myself and for my family. And I tell the youth, when you graduate, go to school. Yes, I want you to have a great time, but take it serious. It's going to be hard work, but it's going to be worth it. Don't give up. Right at the point where you want to give up, that's when the blessings happen. Just push through. Because like she said, if it were easy, anybody can do it. And it's not. This is survival of the fittest. And it's not that you have to be a straight A student. It's more about determination. Determination. I don't care what your friends tell you. You know what? Don't worry about it. If you felt it. No. If this is your because you don't want to be up 24 hours because you're not going to give your all. You definitely want to have your time to rest, but definitely focus, and don't worry about your friends partying. If this is what you want to do, just focus, because it's going to be hard, but I promise you it's going to be worth it.
Thank you. Daphne, Dr. Dut.
Yeah, there were moments where I felt like you know, the need to give up, but oops, so sorry, my daughters are with me. I have a meeting in like 5 minutes that I have to actually go to, but
I want to draw your face. Oh, this pink.
okay, Audrey, one second. So sorry. Okay, Audrey, I'm in the meeting. So yeah, I wanted to give up, but my recommendation, that happened to me when I was in med school, because there was a lot of sleepless nights and it's exhausting. So learn to take a break when you need to. It's not all about sitting and studying and being at the library. You need to be balanced too. You need to have a life. And you're going to learn how to balance fun with work and friendships and relationships as well. There's a lot of things that can happen outside of just studying. But if you're feeling really, really, you know, exhausted or sad, or you want to give up, then talk to somebody that will help you, to motivate you, like a pep talk. So to me, that was my dad. Or if you have a school counselor or some friends, those, you know, people that will help you, encourage you. Because, hold on, Audrey, because, you know, we're not alone in this. There's other people that are going through it. So it's a team effort. Sometimes you're not alone. You can get help from others as well. That's my point.
Thank
I have to
you
actually
so
go.
much.
Apologies.
No
have another-
worries. Thank you for being here. I hope you have a great night. We greatly appreciate you.
You're welcome. Have a good night too. Thanks, everybody. Nice to meet everybody. Bye.
Likewise. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Excellent.
Oh,
Excellent.
I'll leave my contact info in the chat if anybody wants to reach me. I'll leave my email.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You got
Have
it.
a great night.
You too.
Excellent. All right. With the time remaining, we're in our last couple minutes, and I have questions. Let's see. Let's see, the last one, as I'm looking, some of these are repeat. What should you change? What do you think should change about your career? Is there anything within your field that you wish would change?
I think I should get paid more.
I like it.
I think I definitely should get paid more. That's the honest truth. I can't find any other better answer. Okay, in all seriousness, of course, I make good enough money, and I'm not going to say exactly, but it's six figures. It's around there. I with 8 years experience, you know, you just the more experience you have, the higher your pay rate. So for me to say should anything change, I just think they need to give me more money. that's all I got.
Thank you. Anna, Mrs. Reyes, do you have anything to add?
I think I agree. No, I'm very happy with the amount of money I'm making, but if they want to give me a pay raise, I would be very happy as well. I don't mind it. That's not a problem. Definitely as a nurse, we make very decent money, so I can't complain. But one thing that I would like is just more exposure in regards to aesthetics. I wish that more people, because I'll meet nurses that have no idea that I'm a registered nurse. So I wish we have more exposure. So that's something that I would like as well, that more people in the medical field, especially people going into nursing, that they knew that this is another branch that they can do in addition to the hospital, if they want to do it part-time, or if they don't want to, they want to be a nurse, but they don't see themselves in the hospital setting, that it's out there more and people know this is a field they could get into, because it's really, many people don't know.
Right. No, it's pretty fascinating in terms of that being another avenue. I'm sure when you originally went into nursing, that wasn't like, oh.
No, it wasn't. It's funny. It was actually frowned upon when I was in nursing school. So I remember I don't know, we had some type of class and somebody had made a comment like, well, dermatology is not real nursing. I said, oh, and I stayed very quiet because they're pushing more med surg, ICU, which are great. But there are other avenues, and I love what I do. I get to help patients in a different way, but I still get to help patients. And that's very gratifying. And I feel that I'm using all my nursing skills to do that. So that's something that I wish would be out there more, that people knew all nurses can do as well.
Awesome.
Can I add something to that?
Please.
So another thing that I forgot to mention, that radiology is not just a radiation. There's ultrasound. Okay, we have MRI And there are people that I know that you guys like art, you like animation, but you're scared of being around patient or blood. Guys, there are so many ways you can contribute to radiology. IT, we need smart people that are great with IT part. I'm not great with it, you know, but we have people that because you have to remember, once we take an image, we have to send it to a computer. Computer has to send the results to the patient. That's all IT. You like art? Yes, come. The radiology department, different areas or manufacturers, the people that come, that build up the machine. We need people that are good with 3D. So whatever you are passionate about, I have a pretty great feeling there is a way you can also make a good living and be passionate by contributing to radiology through your talent, through your hobbies. There are many ways. It's not just radiation. Do research. My email is over there. I will help you out with any questions that I can help you out with. But there's so much out there for you guys. The sky's the limit.
Excellent. And we're at the 5:56 mark. I don't see any other questions. Note that following this following this webinar, I will send out a post-meeting email that will have some contact information, some notes from today's meeting, some additional pieces to help further your research. A lot of this research and self-exploration, I mean, over and over again, I've heard from panelists today, the importance of volunteering, the importance of doing research, the importance of taking opportunities. Like Mrs. Reyes said, if you go to a PUC high school, you have the opportunity to take dual enrollment college classes. That means as long as you're taking care of business at school, you're passing your classes, your high school classes, you can enroll in courses at the community college and explore different careers, get a taste in medicine, get a taste in business, get a taste in art, take these classes for credit, get some of your general ed classes out of the way so that you can either go directly to the community college and transfer faster or get your certificates at that level, or use them to transfer to a 4-year. But this is available to anyone, and they're free. They're free in the sense you don't have to pay as a student, but note they're not free. We pay for it in taxes, but they're free as a student. So you just need to be able to focus. And I really greatly appreciate y'all sharing your personal stories. You're all sharing advice with the students, and we have tons of opportunities for you to take advantage of at school. You just need to ask for them, and you need to kind of get your head down and make priorities as to what's important for you. And one of the biggest pieces is self-exploration and finding your passion. What brings you joy? And then how can we connect that joy to a career? But it does take your, I always say, how much time do you spend on social media or YouTube? Take a fraction of that. Let's just say you do an hour a day, which I think would be kind of small for people just on national averages of people on social media and YouTube. If you just took 20 minutes of that time a day and put that towards self-exploration, you would be able to come out ahead and really narrow down your options, narrow down what you want, and get your feet wet with some experience and some networking people But I greatly thank our panel again today. All of you have families, lives, work, all this stuff, and you made time for PUC students. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank you. And students, please help me thank. I see the virtual hands and clapping. Thank you for doing that. And please fill out the survey, students. I will send you the meeting notes follow-up along with some of the people's contacts. And if you think of anything else, this is the last of our Tuesday career convos. I hope you all have a great night, and thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. If anyone else has any questions, I'm going to stay on until 6 o'clock on the nose. Please complete that survey. It's a quick one. It's a quick one, and I share responses with some of our panelists just to let them know what you think. And we use this to get better each year. If you have any ideas on like, hey, next year I wish you would do X, or I wish you would do more of this. I use your data to drive my work. So please speak up. I care very much on making sure you get your needs met. Any more questions? I'm at the 5:59 mark. I'm going to sign off at 6.